What's going on, YouTube? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Welcome to Texas Podcast. Thank you for all the day ones, all the new subscribers, likes, comments, feedback. Thank you so much. Greatly appreciated. Hopefully everybody's having a good Friday. Going pretty good on my end. Enjoying watching my son play baseball. Taking care of my health. Really just living my life, man. But I know I'm kind of late to the topic about the Guero 10K situation. I'm gonna give you my opinion on what I've experienced. Being at one point involved in that type of environment at a young age. This is what I think, in my opinion. They ask you where your heart's at. That's one of the things they ask you. Where's your heart at? Is it for the city? Not everybody makes the tryouts, man, right? You try out, it's like a sport. You try out, you make the cut, you're in. Until you show other. And what I mean by other, I mean where your heart's at. We all know prison is divided by race. As much as, we want to not really talk about it, but in prison, it's divided by race, man. It's just the way it is. It's been there before I got there, and I'm pretty sure it's like that after I left. So it's a rule of the land that's been there before my time and before everybody else's time, and I don't know, right? So when the law of the land is already divided by race, and you already made the cut, they're going to be looking at you, right? Your own homeboy is going to be looking at you and be like, all right, man, he made the cut. But does he have any weak points in him? Does he like to gamble? Does he have any vices? Does he like to smoke, drink? Anything that will put himself and the rest of the homeboys in the situation, right? Be like, hey, because you're in already, right? You made it in the club. You made it in the club now. So now you're not only thinking for yourself, now you're thinking for everybody else. So your actions affects everybody else. So when I seen the video of Guero 10K getting smashed out, my personal experience told me that there was probably more to the story. There's more to the story than meets the eye. I think I watched the video where they said that it came because he broke the deadly sin of fighting your own homeboy. From my experience, it's a no-no, right? It's a no-no to fight amongst each other. Does it happen? Yes, it happens, right? Can you get away with it? Sometimes, right? It just depends. but we're not supposed to. If we get caught and somebody makes a deal about it, we're both gonna get disciplined. You know what I mean? We're both gonna get 2 to 3 guys on us, and we're gonna get checked. But it does happen. I heard that, well, somebody made a video saying that apparently he hit a fellow member across the head with a fan motor or a fan magnet or some kind of heavy device, which is a common, weapon up in there. A fan motor. They don't have canned foods no more. I think 2001 or 2002 was the last year of canned foods. So even then, man, right? Even if, let's say he did hit a fellow member and give a fellow member what you call a pussy across his head, that would be a very major no-no. Right? And the homeboys, just imagine you getting hit and getting your head split open. You're not just going to be happy with him getting jumped out, right? You're going to want to get somewhat near the damage back, man. Almost like that saying, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. That's the type of mentality you got. Because believe me, man, if somebody fucking pokes me up or hits me across the head, it leaves me a fucking 12-inch scar on my head. Best believe I want the same payback. I want the same payback. Could he gotten into one of his homeboys? Possibility he could have got into one of the homeboys. And it adds up, man. It's not just like an overnight thing where homeboys, homeboys start noticing where your heart's at, man. They start noticing 2 things. You start hanging around with another group, or you start going to church. Right? If the homeboys start seeing you going to church more often, they might question you and be like, hey, what's going on? Is your heart still in this? Or they're gonna give you the option, right? Be like, hey, is your heart still in this, man? If it's not, let us know. But on the Guero 10K situation, I don't think Guero's 10K heart was with the blast to begin with. Because even out here on the streets, he hung around with predominantly, black dudes. He hung around with Mexicans too, but predominantly, he had a lot of black friends. Which is common in Texas. It's common, man. In some areas of Texas, it's not too common. And in some areas like Houston, it's okay. It's common, man. But as you can see from that thumbnail picture that I posted right there, you got Guero 10K rapping in a cell with like 2-3 black dudes. And from my experience, that's a no-no, right? Now, if we would have been in the day room, rapping on the table, associating, where homeboys can see what's going on. If a homeboy can see what you're doing with another organization, another race, there's no misinterpretation of what's really going on. Everything's out in the open. But once you're in a cell with what would be considered your enemy or an opposition, or at either that time or in the near future, it brings your antennas up to be like, hey, why are you getting too comfortable over there? It seems like you're going into cells, you're hanging out, too much camaraderie. It's just too much camaraderie where somebody's going to be like questioning your loyalty. And it probably came to the point to where it's like, hey, you're going to, it's either us or them. Where does your heart lie at? And they probably questioned him. And he probably said, look, man, I probably feel more comfortable. What I think, man, is he's in the unit with a lot of people with a lot of time. He probably came across one of his free world buddies with a lot of time as well. And just like anybody else, man, you feel more comfortable with somebody from the free world than you just met in prison. Because you might be rocking good with somebody that you met in prison, but then when your homeboy from the free world comes, it's like, man, you're going to gravitate to each other, right? It's now you really have somebody that has your back, right? Because if it's really your homeboy from the free world, man, it's like, hey, you got my back, I got your back. At the end of the day, we got to go back to the same hood. We got to go back to the same area. Your people know my people, your people know my people. So the camaraderie is stronger, man, than just meeting a homeboy that, you just met in prison. I think he got too comfortable. And it's like everything, man. It's a list that gets added up, man. They could have seen him hanging out too much with the blacks. He got into a fight with his homeboy. Ain't no telling what other things or little laws or, things he was doing wrong. That the homeboy said, hey, man, where's your heart at? And that tells me another thing, man. The way they smashed him out, it's a smash out, right? They smashed him out. But like I said, man, if he would have used a weapon on another homeboy, somewhere in there, he would have been poked up. His head would have been smashed in with the same kind of, weapon. But that smash tells me that he's getting smashed out, but he's going to another organization, right? He's going to another organization. And the organization that he's going to go to already knows the laws. That once we smash out, and that's it, man. We're not gonna poke you up. We're not gonna, unless it's needed and it's already talked about. Because if you're getting smashed out to join another gang, because hey, my heart's not with the blast. My heart's over here. This is my free world buddy. It's my homeboy. I know him. I want to kick it with him and his crew. That's what I want to do. And you just have to face the consequences, man. I've seen it happen, right? I've seen it on one situation at the unit that I was, there was Tango. And there was this dude named, I can't remember his dude's name, man. But he was from Sananto. And he was hanging with the Sananto Blast, the Sananto Tango car, right? Because the Sananto, the Sananto Tango is just Tango. They're not really with the Blast, right? They're just Tango. So the dude started hanging around with the black dude from his neighborhood. And the black dude and him belonged to a street gang. I can't remember what it was. I can't remember if it was a GD or a Vice Lord. I can't remember the gang, but they belonged to a street gang that wasn't, at that point in 2000, it wasn't really big in Texas. It was almost like a Chicago, if I can remember, it was almost like a Chicago gang that they were claiming. So they told him, look, we're gonna smash him out, but that's and they had made an agreement. Look, we're gonna smash him out, and that's gonna be the end of it. He can go and hang out with y'all or whatever, but that's it. And that's what I think happened to Weddle 10K, man. I think a lot of the shit piled up on him. Because, man, you know, when you get so big uh, and you become the dominant, you start looking amongst yourself for weakness and people to start picking off and start looking you start eating your own weak, right? Because there ain't nobody else to fuck with. So that's my little 2 cents on the Weddle 10K. I think he got smashed out to go to another game. Tango, the Blast probably seen that he was, you know, getting too comfortable, and they said his heart wasn't with him. So they smashed him out. And I guarantee you that Weddle 10K is walking that unit with another organization. If I was a betting man, it'll probably be the Crips. He's probably rolling with the Crips, some set of the Crips. But they all fall under the Crips. I would assume, right? I don't know their politics too much in prison. But I would assume that they all fall under the Crip flag. Because at the end of the day, there's only white, black, and Mexican at the end of the day. So, man, I know I was late to the party. And that's my Weddle 10K 2 cents.